Okay, Brittany, as I mentioned earlier, one of my jobs is to go through what the manufacturer is obligated to provide you as far as a warranty on your vehicle. And before I do so, first I want to say congratulations on your choice of a Nissan. I think what you'll find when we review this information is Nissan provides a pretty comprehensive level of coverage to new car buyers. So I want to congratulate you on your purchase, and I want to go through that information with you. Is that going to be all right?
Yes, perfect.
So what is your understanding of the manufacturer's guarantee?
Very basic.
All right, well, good. Well, good, because that's my job, is to help you understand that. So you're going to get a book just like this from your salesperson. It highlights in detail all your coverage. So it's 56 pages long. I'm not going to sit here and go through every page with you. What we've done to be more cognizant of your time is we've taken this information, we've condensed it into a one-page graph form here. So let's go through it real quick. First, your basic coverage, as it states here on page 1, is 3 years, 36,000 miles. And then you have some enhanced coverage on the powertrain, which is 5 years, 60,000 miles. So what I want to do is explain those levels of coverages. Your 3-year, 36,000 mile coverage is limited, guaranteed from the manufacturer, and I'll explain in detail what this word limited means. And then the 5-year 60 is limited as well, but it's a little bit different, and I'll explain the differences between those two. This is the comprehensive level of coverage. You may have heard this referred to as bumper to bumper in the past. They've also added some enhanced coverages on what they call the powertrain. Now that's the 5-year 60. And the powertrain is any internally lubricated components from the engine through the transmission all the way to the rear end. And that's afforded to you, those two levels of coverage are afforded to you at a $0 deductible in those two different periods. Okay? So let's dive into this a little bit deeper, and let's explain these different levels of coverage and kind of what this word limited means. It kind of helps to read right out of the book here. But if you flip over to your book to page 6, and let's start with what Nissan says is covered. It states here on page 6, this warranty covers any repairs needed to correct any defects in materials or workmanship. So what you have is what they call a defect-only coverage in materials or workmanship. Now, materials is just another way of saying parts, and workmanship is another way of saying labor. So any defect in the parts in labor occurring in the first 3 years of 36,000 miles, you're going to be covered. Now, a lot of people say, well, how do you define a defect? So a defect can be described as any component that has been misdesigned, misbuilt, or misinstalled during that first 3 years or 36,000 miles, okay? So let's take a deeper look and let's talk about what this word limited means, because there are some limitations inside these warranties. If you look over here on page 7, it specifically states this warranty does not cover damage, failure, or corrosion or correction resulting from the following. It's got a multiple list of things here like fire and theft and dings and dents, but the biggest one is listed here, normal wear and tear. So Nissan is obligated to build you a vehicle that's free from failure due to a defect, but they cannot provide you a vehicle that's free from normal wear and tear. So what we've done is we've really taken a closer look at what creates wear and tear, because wear and tear ultimately will create failure. So what we want to do is we want to limit the effects of wear and tear so that you have a better overall ownership experience and you're less likely to have failure. Okay? So we found 4 contributing factors working with our service department on the items that actually create wear and tear, which ultimately lead to failure. And the number one thing is climate. The temperature change here in Texas is 100 degrees between winter and summer, and that heat and cold can wreak havoc on things like electronics, computers, seals and gaskets, and things of that nature. So climate plays a big effect on wear and tear. Road conditions, the quality of the roads that we drive our vehicles over, rattles and shakes, can ultimately lead to wear and tear, which could create failure in your vehicle. 3, personal driving habits. Everyone drives their vehicle differently. And it's not just the people that drive too fast or brake too hard, but it's how we drive, right? Some of us are in stop-and-go traffic all the way downtown to work, and then some of us are going 85 miles an hour down the road. So personal driving habits creates wear and tear. And 4 here, I would probably move 4 up to number 1, because lack of or improper maintenance is one of the largest contributing factors to wear and tear, which ultimately leads to failure. So if you take a look at those 4 factors, how many of those 4 can you control?
The 4th one.
You can control the fourth one, and you can control.
Sometimes a third one, I
Yeah, you
guess.
can also control how you drive the car, right? So if you have to look at those 4 factors, how many can Nissan control?
None of them.
They can't, right?
No.
So because they have no control over any of these items, when there's a failure, they reserve the right to determine what caused the failure. Was it a defect, which they have some control over, or was it wear and tear, which they have absolutely no control over? So if you take a look at your time life of your vehicle. Now, you told me earlier that you drive about 15,000 miles a year and you plan to keep this vehicle for about 6 or 7 years. So when you look at the time life of a vehicle, when do you think the likelihood of a failure is more likely? Is it when the vehicle is new prior to experiencing these wear and tear items, or is it the second half of ownership after that wear and tear starts to take its toll?
The second half.
It's the second half of ownership, and that's what all of our customers say. And if you had an opportunity to switch places and Nissan would call you and say, hey, Brittany, I tell you what we're going to do. You go ahead and take care of it when it's new and the wear and tear is not there. And when that wear and tear starts to show, we're going to step up and take care of it for you, maybe even out to 100,000 miles. That's a phone call you'd probably welcome, and that's probably something that you would take advantage of. That's why we've partnered with MPP, which is the greatest service contract company in America. Any idea why they say it is?
No.
It's because they actually work in conjunction with your manufacturer's warranty, and they give you that true blanket coverage. In essence, what MPP allows you to do is that switching of places with the manufacturer. So you have that true blanket coverage that most customers want, because it fills in the gray areas and fills in the loopholes while you're under manufacturer's warranty. And then when you run out of manufacturer's warranty, MPP stands on its own. Let me show you how it works. Simply stated, you're covered. Our Platinum mechanical breakdown coverage is not just limited to the repair of manufacturer's defects. If a component fails due to wear and tear under normal use, you'll be covered. Additionally, it'll provide for you true 24-hour roadside assistance, and it'll give you loaner vehicle in the event that your vehicle's in the shop in need of repair during your ownership experience. So that's why it's considered the greatest service contract company in America. Now, that's your mechanical coverage from the manufacturer and the limitations of coverage. There are some additional areas of risk that you have no coverage for that are going to be your responsibility throughout your entire ownership experience. And that starts with maintenance. What's your general understanding of the maintenance you're going to have to do on your vehicle?
Also very basic.
Well, obviously you're going to have to change the oil, rotate the tires. And when you look at item 4 here, one of the key components in the future life of your vehicle is how well you maintain it. And to drive down the wear and tear, you're going to need to change the oil on time, rotate the tires, obviously keep the tires aligned so that they wear properly. Any belts, hoses, brake pads, electrical battery, or headlamps, these are types of things that are going to wear over time. It's not something that you're going to have to address immediately, but as time goes on, you're going to have to take care of these maintenance items in order to keep your vehicle running properly. Additionally, there are some additional areas of risk which you have no coverage for as it relates to the tires and wheels. Now, the vehicle does come with a warranty on the tires, whether it's Goodyear, Michelin, one of the tire manufacturers. You do get defective only coverage. If the tire has been misdesigned, misbuilt, or misinstalled, you're going to be covered. But if you have a failure because you put too much air in it, or you've driven it with too little air in it, and the tire fails, you have no coverage. Or road hazards if you run over something in the road. Did you know that there's a tire puncture in the United States? There's 7 every second, which leads to 220 million tire failures in the United States. So if that happens at 80 miles an hour, it's not a very good situation. And it can destroy not only the tire, but the wheel as well. So it's really a safety concern. Cosmetics, an additional areas of risk, and one of the most costly, and one of the biggest things that lead to the future resale value, because at some point you're going to want to trade or sell this vehicle, so you want to maximize the value. According to the National Automobile Dealers Association, the #1 contributing factor in retaining that value is keeping the cosmetics up on the vehicle, which means keeping it ding and dent free, keeping the paint in good condition, and keeping the interior in good condition, right? The UV rays in Texas can wreak havoc on our paint, not to mention things like bird droppings, tree sap, industrial fallout. And then we live inside of our cars today. I saw a guy driving down the road the other day eating a cheeseburger, and he had mustard running down his face, so that probably wound up on his carpet, right? So keeping that interior in good shape is a key component to the resale value of the vehicle. Dings and dents are virtually unavoidable. I saw a shopping cart inside of a brand new pickup truck the other day, still had a paper tag on it. You've probably seen that happen yourself. Dings and dents not only are annoying, but they diminish the resale value of your vehicle. And then here's one that is very important. It's windshield repair. With all the construction that we have, if you get these little chips in your windshield, we have these high resins, high epoxies and resins that can fix those chips and they go away. But if they go unattended to, they turn into a crack. The crack becomes a safety issue. Now you're replacing an entire windshield, and that can be very costly, $500–600 sometimes on some of these windshields. Last but not least, on cosmetics, we didn't have to talk about this 5 years ago, but it's key replacement. Every car's got a smart key these days, and you can't go down to Walmart and replace that smart key. There's actually 3 things that have to be done. You have to purchase the key, have it laser cut, have it programmed, and have it synced to the vehicle. Now, if it just quits working for whatever reason, you're covered. But if you lose it, if you drop it in the lake, I had a dog chew one of mine up. Those types of things aren't covered, and they're up to $500 to replace a key. So could be very costly. Cosmetics is a key component in areas of risk that drive the cost that reflect on the total value of your vehicle in the future. Last but definitely not least is vehicle loss. A vehicle loss can happen in one of 3 ways. A vehicle can be stolen. Vehicle, you can have an act of God or Mother Nature destroy your vehicle, or you can have an accident. 1 out of every 5 major automobile accidents today are being totaled because of the cost of putting the cars back together, airbag deployment, and things of that nature. So it's very expensive when you lose a vehicle. Auto theft is one of the fastest growing crimes in America, especially here in Texas, with us being close to the border, easy access across the border. Vehicle theft is, if it was rated by the Fortune 500, it would be number 56 on the Fortune 500. So it's very, very big business. And then when people find their vehicle in a lost situation, whether it be by accident, theft, Mother Nature, something beyond their control, a lot of people find themselves upside down or owing more on the vehicle than it's actually worth. So gap coverage is something that's not provided by the manufacturer. Okay, so now that we've covered your mechanical breakdown coverage and we've gone through your additional areas of risk, let's take a quick look and see what your options are to protect your investment.